All right, welcome back. Today is day 3 on Lazarus. We're trying to figure out how to get boxes to drop on Lazarus's head. I guess we'll start with just the boxes, and then we'll kind of move from there. We're going to start with just the first type of box. There's actually 4 types of boxes. There's a cardboard box, there's a wooden box, there's a metal box, and then a stone box. And they each have different behaviors, so we're going to have to look at each one. One of the things we want to do, though, is maybe just get one of the boxes working. So like usual, anytime we're adding a new sprite to the game, we need to, or a new object to the game, we need to add a sprite for it. So let's do that first. So we say create sprite. We'll call this one sprite, and we'll just call it card box. Sprite card box. And which sprite do we use? Well, I'm not at school today, so I'm kind of getting it from a weird location, but normally you'd get it from your classes folder. For me, I have to go hunt for it. I did look this up to see where it was at. Yeah, we can find it. Shared folders, there it is. Game Design 1. So it'll be in the Lazarus folder, and we want to see the pictures here. It's complaining. Yeah, here's our different pictures, and the one we want is the cardboard box. Where is it? There. So you want to choose that one. Say open. Here's our cardboard box. There's nothing fancy. There's no animation. It's just a cardboard box. Some tape on it. Next, we want to actually create the object. I don't think there's anything to change here. I don't think so. So we go to the object, say create object. Here object is object card box. And we're going to choose that sprite that we just made. Is it solid? It's a good question. I think so. I think cardboard boxes should be solid. So we make it solid. But each type of box also has different flavors. So we're going to have to make another type as well. This will be the stationary cardboard box. I don't want to have to write the word stationary, but if it's just object card box, it's the one that doesn't move. We'll have to create one other. It seems kind of odd to create 2 objects that have the same sprite, but in this case we have to do that. So we right click here and we say create object. And say object. We'll call this one falling card box. Okay, so that's one that's falling. And we'll change the sprite again to our cardboard box. So the falling cardboard boxes and the stationary ones will all be the same. The only big difference here is that this one's not going to be solid. It's just going to fall. And that's about it. If we put one in the room, just temporarily, we'll put a falling one of these in the room. We'll put it right above Lazarus's head so we can see it. The idea is here, these boxes, there's like a little conveyor belt above the screen here, and it drops boxes on Lazarus's head when there's no other boxes that are falling. So there's this constant stream of boxes falling on Lazarus's head. Now when the box hits something it can't crush, then it stops falling. So we're going to give this a try. Well, I guess we have to give it some kind of movement. Now, the speed, I'm thinking, kind of we use the same falling speed as we did with Lazarus when we were doing the gravity thing. So maybe we give this thing an initial speed of 8 falling down. So let's do that. So we're in the falling cardboard box, and then its create event. When it's created, what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to fall, I guess. So there's 2 ways you can do motion in a video game. You can set it in the room and give it a speed, or you can or you can make a jump from one frame to the next. It looks the same. But let's just make it fall. I think that would probably be the best. So let's give it a speed and a direction of movement. So we're going down, but how fast are we moving down? So we'll maybe set the speed first, and we'll say we'll go down. Well, let's say speed next, yeah, because we set the direction, and then it uses that direction to figure out the speed. And we're going to say we're going to go down 8 pixels per frame. And if we try that now, we'll see, hopefully, that the box falls. But we'll notice a couple other things. Well, that's too fast. That's the first thing. That's way too fast. That was interesting. I'm surprised by that speed because it seemed yeah, it seemed to be relatively fast. It says room physics. Let's look there. We have gravity. We're not using it though. There used to be a setting here called room speed. I don't see that one anymore. Oh, here, room settings, inherit, persistence. No, it's not there anymore. Well, what you want to make sure of is whatever speed you choose, it has to divide evenly into 40. So we're going to slow this down then. I guess. I think maybe our frame rate is going 60 per second, and that's why it's going twice as fast. So what I'm used to. So maybe in this creation event we say 4. We got to give time for the user to react and get out of the way. So let's try that. Yeah, that seems like the speed I want. But the problem is it went right through Lazarus. He didn't seem to mind that. And it also went right through the floor, which isn't great. So let's first deal with the collision with the floor. What should happen? Well, let's add an event to the falling cardboard box. And we'll say collision with the wall. And what we want to do when it collides with the wall is we just want it to stop. So one way you can make it stop is you can set the speed to 0. So we'll do that. But another thing you want to do is you also want to change it into another object. And this is be the stationary cardboard box. And so we're going to do a change object. So this would be instance change, I guess they call it. No, instance change. This one here. Change instance. And we're changing it into that stationary box. So that's the one that's not falling. Okay. So let's see what that looks like when we run it. Falls, stops. That looked like it worked. Lazarus is still not really getting squished yet, but at least the box stops when it should. But what we'll find is that there's a problem here. We want these boxes to stack up on top of each other, and so what you'll find is, like, say, if I do this experiment, and this is just an experiment, if I put another cardboard box in here, another falling cardboard box, say maybe here. And maybe we'll get Lazarus out of the way so we can see this. This box will hit the ground, but what happened is this box needs to stack on top of that box. But what happens is it'll just keep going until it hits the wall, and then both boxes will be in the same place. So let's see if that's what happens. There's the one box. Yeah, the other one just slid behind the first box, which isn't great. So we want these boxes to stack up on top of each other. So one of the things we can do just to save a little time is we can go to the stationary cardboard box, and we can use the parent power, and we say we're going to set the parent of that to object wall. And that does a couple things for us. Let me show you some of the things it does for us. Let me go back to the room now. Let's see if these things stack. First one stops. See, the second one stops. And now they're stacked up on top of each other, which is cool. But the other thing we get for free, which is kind of nice, is like, say, if I get rid of one of these boxes, and we'll just go with the one box now that we know they stack. Lazarus will, now that it's a child of wall, it will see a wall there and jump up on top of it. If that wasn't a wall, it would be right on. It would just scoot over one, be right in the same square as the cardboard box. So now we solved two problems by making the stationary cardboard box a wall. Lazarus can jump on top of it, and it just treats it like any other wall, which is cool. So that's pretty neat. But again, we want these boxes to be created over and over. We just don't want to have one box. That wouldn't make much of a game, I suppose. So how do you get this conveyor belt of boxes running? Well, anytime you have something like this where you have to control something, it's best to put a controller in the room. Now remember, a controller object is an object that you don't necessarily see. It doesn't have a picture or anything. But it does kind of control things that are going on in the room. So let's do that. We don't have to create a sprite because, controllers don't need one. So we say create object. And again, we're making a controller. We've done this in other games, but in this game we'll need one too. What does this controller do? Well, I guess the first question it has to ask is, are there any falling boxes on the screen? So let's figure that out. We can add event to the step event. Okay, so this will happen every frame. Step event. What we want to do is count the number of falling boxes. In this case, we only have one type right now, and so that's the falling cardboard box. So we count that up. And we'll give a variable name, num card boxes, let's say. So the number of cardboard boxes. So we count up the number of cardboard boxes. There should only be one or zero, I guess. Because, when it hits the ground, it's going to turn into a stationary cardboard box, and then there won't be one. But then we can ask a question. We can say if, and we can test that variable that we just created. And we're going to make it temporary because we only want it available just here in the step event. We don't want to make it available everywhere. The variable name, again, is you have to be careful on the spelling here, but you would say num card boxes. And we could say, I always hesitate saying equal to anything on these. I'd like to say less than or equal to 0. It seems silly because if you're going to control it properly, it'll never be less than 0. But you can't count something and get a -1, I suppose. But just to be safe, I tend to do that. So if that's true, then what we want to do is we want to drop a box, or create a new box and drop it on Lazarus's head. So we have to figure out where Lazarus is. So first, what we do then is if there is no falling cardboard boxes, then we'd have to, I guess we'd have to create one. So here we'd say create, see this little light bulb, create instance. Well, what are we creating? Well, we're creating another falling cardboard box. And here we have to be careful. We want to do this over Lazarus's head. So we look at Lazarus's stationary version of himself. It's object Laz stand. So we'd say, in spelling, super important, object Laz stand. Okay, make sure you spell it right. .x. That's a dot. X. Let me zoom in on this so you can see the dot. It's a dot. A lot of people miss that. It's not relative. We're already making it relative to wherever Lazarus is. For why? We want this box to start just off the top of the screen. And we know our boxes are 40 pixels high, so we're going to say -40. Again, that's not relative either. It's absolutely above the screen, right over Lazarus. And we'll put that on the instances layer. So we create that, and in that creation event, remember, it'll get the box moving and it will fall. So let's see if this works. Well, the one thing a lot of people forget to do is they make the controller and then they forget to put the controller in the room, and then the controller's not controlling anything. So I just about made that mistake. So grab the controller, put it somewhere where you can see it easy, maybe up here, a little bit lighter. You can see that. There's our controller. It's going to control the boxes. We're now going to take this box off the screen because we don't need it anymore, because when the game starts, it'll see there's no falling boxes and it will create one for us. So now we don't even need the box. The controller's going to make them for us. Let's try it. Yep, sure enough. They stack. Oh. You see where we crash here. We were in the middle of an animation and it looked to see where object last stand was, and boy, he wasn't there because we were another object. We were jumping to the left, I guess. So we crashed because it couldn't find Lazarus. It wasn't an object last stand. So we have a problem to fix. So we probably also have to figure out, before we drop the box, we have to make sure that there's no falling boxes, but we also have to make sure there's at least one standing Lazarus before we drop the next box, or otherwise the program will crash. So let's do that in our controller. So here, where we get instance count, we need to count up the number of Lazaruses, or standing Lazaruses. So we say count. So we're going to have to do another count. We'll do that first, maybe. I want this on top. No, puts it on the bottom, of course. Okay, so put it on top. There we go. So what are we counting this time? We're counting standing Lazaruses, that one. And we'll call this one lowercase num lazes. Lazes? Num laz. How about that? So that's the number of lazes. We'll make this one temporary too. And both of these things have to be true for us to be able to get in. One of the things that's missing in drag and drop game makers is the ability to have two conditions. So the way you say this and this have to be true is you just line up a couple of if statements. It's not ideal. So we're going to do that. If we were in GML, we could be a little bit more discrete here, or more precise here, but we can't do that here. So I'm going to put this one right there, and then I'm going to make this one controlled by that one. So it has to get through both of these to do this thing down here. And our variable is numLaz. And here we want to make sure there's at least one standing Lazarus. If there's one standing Lazarus and no cardboard boxes, or no falling cardboard boxes. Yeah, see this variable name? What do we call it? Num card boxes. I suppose that's okay, but just remember that's the number of falling cardboard boxes, not all the cardboard boxes in the room. So that's our structure. Let's see if now it doesn't crash. Take it out of the way. Okay, I'm going to be moving around while the boxes are falling. Notice it's not crashing anymore. Boxes are stacking. Right? So I'm going to put myself in a bad position. This is where you don't want to be, but right now Lazarus is not getting squished. And here our boxes are stacking happily over Laz's head, and then they stack into infinity. So that's the basic mechanic of the game. We have Lazarus jumping around. We have the boxes being dropped on Lazarus's head, and we are not crashing, which is good. But again, this is just the start. We have a lot of complexities coming up. I mean, one thing we have to do is we have to make the other type of boxes. That's the problem. And what else? We also want to randomly generate boxes. So that's another challenge. So I'm gonna pause here, and then I'll think about what to do next. All right, so I did some thinking. I think the next thing we'll do is we're going to create the next type of box, and then we're going to try something new. So again, we go to sprites. We're going to create our sprite, and this is going to be the sprite for the wooden box. So we'll say sprite wood box, and we're going to import that wooden box. That's this one. Notice it has a little bit of green showing through. We don't want the green in there, so we're going to have to edit this sprite a bit. See that green thing in there? They're trying to make it transparent so the box is not a great box and things will show through it. But we want to go in there and edit out that color and make that transparent. So just that seems really silly. But we click on that color and we'll get rid of that and make the whatever's behind it show through on just those few pixels. All right, so we have that. We have our box now. And then we can use that to create our two types of boxes, the stationary wooden box and then the falling wooden box. So let's do that. Why don't we duplicate some things just to save some time? So I'm going to right click here and say duplicate, and notice it makes it automatically a child of object wall. We don't want to call it object card box, so we want to call it object wood box. Make it solid and it's a child of wall. That way we don't forget to do stuff or forget to do anything. And then same here with this falling card box. We'll duplicate that, and we'll get the creation event and the other thing for free. So here again, be careful about pasting errors. If you are going to copy and duplicate or cut and paste, you've got to be really careful not to forget to change the things you're supposed to change. Obviously, we need to change the sprite. I changed the sprite on the other one. I didn't. See, I already forgot to do one. See? Let me finish this one first, and I'll go back and fix that. So what do we create? In the create event, we move down just like the other one, and if we hit a wall, we stop. So that doesn't change. Other than right here, you have to be careful. We don't want to change into a cardboard box or a stationary cardboard box. We want to change into a wooden box using the wrong sprite, but that's what we want to change into. Now we'll go back to our wooden box and choose the right sprite for that. Now we have two types of boxes. So two types of boxes. But you know, we play the game now, and again, it'll just keep dropping cardboard boxes, right? All it knows is cardboard boxes. The controller only makes cardboard boxes. And it's only counting cardboard boxes as well. So how do we get these wooden boxes into the game? Well, we do a number of ways, but I want to I'm going to try something that I haven't done in years past, and that's I'm going to create a base class for our falling boxes. We have kind of a base class for our stationary boxes, and that's object wall because they just behave like walls. But it'd be cool if we had a base falling object so that we just count falling things and not have to count each type of box. And say, you know, you'd have to count up all the number of falling cardboard boxes and stone boxes and metal boxes and wooden boxes. And it wouldn't be great if we just count all the falling boxes. That would be easier. So I'm going to create a base class our base object here. It's not going to have a sprite because we're never going to put one of these in the game, but we're just going to make it a parent of all the following boxes. So we're going to do that now. Create object. Again, it doesn't need a sprite, but we'll say object falling box, and we'll even say parent on it, so we know that this is just a parent object. It doesn't do anything other than exist, right? And then let me pause here for a sec. Looks like oh yeah, here we go. So here's our falling box parent. And then all we have to do here on the falling boxes is we can go to the cardboard box and make its parent the falling box parent. Same thing with the wooden box, the fallen wooden box. We're going to make its parent the falling parent as well. So what does that gain us? You might think, why would we want to do that? Well, it's here in the controller. When the controller's dropping boxes, see how we're counting up the number of falling cardboard boxes, and we want this eventually to be able to produce all different types of boxes, but we only want to have to count up. We only want to have to count up the number of falling things. So here we're going to say we do this instance count, right, of falling cardboard boxes. But what we can do instead, now that they're children of object falling box parent, is we can just count up those. And then probably should rename this variable here just to make it clear. This is the number of falling boxes. So this will count out not just the wooden boxes or the cardboard boxes, but the wooden boxes as well. And then we'll have to change that variable name here. You do want your variable names to represent what they're actually calling. So we're going to say falling. And here it creates a falling cardboard box. How did that get in there? So, yeah, it's going to be a little cleaner. We won't have to have if statement after if statement after if statement, counting up all the falling boxes. We can just do it once. Let's see if it still works. I always like to add something. If it should still be working, then try it and see if it is. And it is still working, yes. Lazarus animation to me looks a little bit slow. Yeah, I'm dead. Okay, so how do we get it to actually start dropping a randomized set of boxes instead of always dropping a cardboard box here? Well, we have to create kind of a random setup. Now, the old version of GameMaker had this thing called create random. And you can create up to 4 random things. So let's see if they have anything like that. Ooh, it's not there. We want to look here. Create. And what I'm looking for is some kind of random creation thing. And it doesn't look like that's there anymore, which is unfortunate. So it's going to make it more challenging. But let's just look at random. Let's see if random has anything that we can choose from. Choose. I mean, that's something we might consider. Here's randomize. That's just to set your random number generation, number generator. Here's random movement. Let's just look at this choose one and see what it does. We're just going to temporarily place it right there. Choose option. Not very clear. Maybe if you put in 4. I guess you have different choices here. and it will randomly choose one of those choices. So maybe that's what we use. So we'll put that first here. We'll put it, I want to put it right there, maybe in the top of that. Yeah, right there. And our first option, we want to have one of two choices right now. So we'll just say there's option 0. Programmers always like starting counting at 0, and then there's option 1. So the first option is 0, and the second option is 1. It's a little bit weird. What's the target? We'll say, we'll call this one choice. We'll make that temporary as well. It's going to create a variable called choice. And then we can say, we can use an if statement then here. If, let's look at these. Yeah, so I guess we can just use the standard if statement. We'll put that here. And we're going to say if choice is equal to 0, then we want to create a falling cardboard box. And then we can say again, if, again, choice is equal to 1, say the second choice, then instead we'll make a falling wooden box. So let's do a create instance again. Just create instance. We'll drag that to the right of the if statement. And so it's looking really ugly here, right? We got lots going on here. But zooming in on this part, we'll have a series of if statements. And if the choice is equal to 1, then we want to create a falling wooden box. I want to use the same settings here as before. For X, we want to put this above object last stands. X coordinate dot X. There's a dot there. And then for Y, we're just going to say -40, just off the top of the screen, right above Laz's head. And we'll create a falling wooden box. So we say go. There's a wood box. Another wood box. Another wood box. This isn't good. It's only creating wooden boxes. Why? Cardboard box. I was starting to worry. Now, what's weird about what should happen when a wooden box hits a cardboard box, it needs to crush the cardboard box. Yeah, Lazarus animation is just too slow. Boy, I sure fall fast. Okay, so you are getting a variety of boxes though now. But we have other issues we have to resolve. Trying to figure out which direction to go here next. So what I've decided to do is we're going to leave this as it is now. This is getting complicated enough. I think it's enough for one video. But we do want to make sure that the wooden boxes crush the cardboard boxes. Okay, that would be the next thing. But again, I'm just slowly going through the code here so that you can see it. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see what's going on here. Starting at the top. You can check all your settings. But that's what it looks like. So let's just do the part where we want the cardboard box to crush the wooden box to crush the cardboard box. So we have to put a collision event then with the falling wooden box. when the falling wooden box collides with a stationary cardboard box, okay, what we want it to do is we want it to destroy the stationary cardboard box. So let's do that. We would say destroy. Destroy instance, but we don't want to destroy ourselves. We want to destroy that other thing we crashed into. So you'd say other here, because we're doing it from the point of view of the falling wooden box. We want the wooden box to destroy the other thing it crashed into. In this case, it's the cardboard box. But we don't want to get rid of all the cardboard boxes. So we say other instead of cardboard box. You know, there is a selection for cardboard box in there, this one. But if you did that, all the cardboard box would just be destroyed in just that one collision. So you don't want that. You just want to say other. Let's see if this works now. Okay, so can't really test it yet. Notice we're getting the same sequence. Why are we getting the same sequence of boxes? Finally, a cardboard box. There's a wooden box. Should crush it. It does. Crushes it. Those are fine. Those are fine. Those stack. That should crush it. That should stack. Oops. Okay, so we see that the wooden boxes are doing their job. Now I'm toast. Okay. So how do we get it so that the game behaves more randomly? Because we played the game again. We got the exact same sequence of boxes. We got a whole bunch of wooden boxes, and then finally there was a cardboard box. Well, what you want to do is randomize it right at the beginning of the game. So maybe in the controller, here's the controller, we can add a game start event. So be other game start. And, well, we have to be careful with that one. Yeah, maybe game start isn't the right one. So let's change our mind, because there's something goofy going to be going on in the beginning. So we're going to say other room start. We'll randomize at that point. And so we're just seeding the random number generator so it comes up with a different sequence of random numbers. So we'll do that. Room start for the controller. Now when we play it, hopefully we won't get a bunch of wooden boxes, and then, you know, that same pattern, we'll get a different, see, it starts with a cardboard box. Hey, that's different. So cardboard box, wooden box, wooden box. Okay, so then another cardboard box. If we play it again, randomizing, it's a wooden box this time. So now we're getting a different sequence of boxes each time, which is probably good. But it certainly is good, I suppose. Okay. Other thing I notice is that when Lazarus is falling, he's falling too quickly. Again, I think our room speed is 60 frames per second, so he's tending to fall a little too fast. So if you remember in our step event, we said 8. It's going to affect a few things. Here we'll say we're going to change that to 4. I'm going to change that to 4. So that Lazarus will fall at the same speed as the boxes, which is, I think, important. But also when we look to see if we're on the ground, when we press the left and right key press, again, since we're falling 4 instead of 8, we've got to check only 4 pixels beneath us. So that's at the top of this big gnarly thing in the key press event, or maybe you have a keyboard event. It just depends on what you prefer there. But here, same here, this needs to be a 4. Let's make sure we haven't broken anything. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that Lazarus falls the same speed as the boxes, and he does. Lazarus is animation speed seems a little bit slow. Remember that whole time he animates, he's not a standing Lazarus, and no boxes fall, and it seems to take a while for him to get to where he needs to go. So what do? Well, this is a little bit harder. We need to go to the sprites, and we got to find a speed for each of these sprites that seems to work. Right now we said 50, 15. If we say 30 and we run it, that seems a little fast. So let's try 20. Okay, so let's see what that looks like in the game. We're just scooching to the right. We want to see how fast that looks. You want to give enough time. Yeah, it seems pretty nice. See, that seems a little slow. That seems about right. See that? Going to the right. Seems really subtle, but he gets to its spot a little bit more quickly, which helps with gameplay. So we want to set that same frame rate for the other ones as well. So I'm going through all the Lazarus sprites and changing the speed to 20 just to speed it up a bit, so the game doesn't have to wait so long between dropping the boxes. Remember, when he's animating, no boxes are dropping, and so it gives the player a little bit too much time. And it just seems, when you're up near the top and you need to move quickly, it seems like he's moving too slow. So let's try it now and see. That's better. Yeah, that seems more natural to me. A lot of wooden boxes. So I'm just stacking them up. Oops. That's interesting. The boxes are stacking. So yeah, I think we've got a good animation speed now. Things work. We'll call it good for today. That's probably enough. Next time we're gonna add some more boxes, but then we're gonna have to change our little controller thing a bit more to make it a little bit more intelligent when we're in our step event. That step event's getting really kind of gnarly, and so it's going to get worse. So I'm just warning you ahead of time. I guess that's it. Thanks.